there, how are you? This episode is about taking a sabbatical from work. Now we're going to dive into should you ever take a sabbatical from work? Are you allowed to give yourself a break from your career when you cannot afford it? And what happens if you cannot afford it? Dive into my episode right now. Subscribe, and I'm looking forward to hear from you. Thank you. Today we're going to talk about career break and sabbatical from work. So one of the key things that I wanted to address with the sabbatical is a concept that is not understood with people who are not into a church or religion. But here, I'm not going to really waste a lot of time on explaining why I decided to take sabbatical from work. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to go straight from my learning experience of the sabbatical from work and what it meant. And then I'm going to then tell you the disaster. I'm telling you, there's been a disaster. So it's good. But disaster is good because you learn. All right. So just like I said earlier, sabbatical, you need to understand what it means. All right. So if you made a decision to take a career break or any form of sabbatical, you need to understand exactly what does the word sabbatical mean. Now, of course, we know sabbatical means is derived from the word Sabbath, which is actually a time of rest. All right. But that's just an example. But if you look in the dictionary, that's exactly what it means. So that's a time of rest. Now, some people prefer to call it a break, but I call it sabbatical because the sabbatical has an implication that you will come back to your regular activities, but you had a time of rest. Now, a clear understanding of what it means is important. Decide and understand why you need to take a break, right? So that's another key important thing you really need to, guys, seriously. If you do not understand why you're doing it, it's going to be a disaster and you're going to come back worse than before. So a lot of people have a decision to make on why they're doing it. Some people say, I'm taking 10 months to travel, and they have a well-planned out travel. Some people I'm taking for health reason, I want to rest. Some people is like, oh, I'm going to take this time break because I'm going to do a specific voluntary work somewhere, activity somewhere. Some people take it because I need to focus on my direct family and it become overwhelming to work. And some people take it because they need to rethink about their direction in their career. And a lot of time, it's a bit difficult to do it while you're still active in a specific career and you might need to think about it. Some people are forced to take it because their job change and now they need to reassess what does that mean for me. All right. So in a way, there's supposed to be a time of rest and understanding of why we do all this. And then number 3 is talk to your dependents and who you depend on. So if you're married or people rely on you, I'm not asking you to ask permission to anybody, but I think it's nice to have a very candid conversation to your spouse. If you're married, if you're single, you don't have anybody to talk to, but it's nice to talk to your mentor about what it means. Because having a discussion about, even some people did decide if they have nobody, they can talk to a therapist, but it's always nice to have someone to talk, or a coach or someone to talk to about that specific journey, because that specific journey is going to be key onto the next phase of your life when you come on the other side. All right. So I think it's very important to have a clear conversation. So for example, when you talk to your spouse, it could be about, can we afford to do this? How long do we need to do this? And why am I doing this? And what is my expectation of my environment, of the people who depend on me while I'm doing this? All right. So I say for us mothers, it's very important to have that conversation because if the children see you home now, they're going to expect a lot more and you're not resting. Where children tend to behave a lot more when you're working because they have a concept, a very clear understanding of discipline. So there's a clear understanding of discussion about mommy is going to rest now or my husband's out. Can we afford it? This is what I want to do. This is what I want to relax. And in fairness, if you are very lucky to be in a loving environment, there will be a clear understanding of the expectation that people have for you. But if you're not fortunate to be in a loving environment, I really feel bad, but I feel it's still important to make sure that you are very strict into protecting that decision that you made. So after the conversation, before now you start the journey, you need to decide on a timeline of Naughtiness. Guys, if you do not do that, you're wasting your time. If you decide to take that 2 months off, I would almost tell you to invest at least 2 weeks of nothingness. Nothing. Do not go and save the world when you're off work. Do not go and volunteer somewhere when you're off. Do not straight away jump into other activity that are a substitute of you having a job, then that's not a rest anymore. So have a specific time in which you say nothing. I'm going to watch TV and relax. I'm going to go to movie alone. I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to visit some friends. I am not going to make any decision about my career. I'm not going to make any decision about a training. And that's why the decision of the timeline is important, because you need to make sure that the timeline fits the end game. Right? So in the end game, you need to ensure that you don't miss out on some opportunity. I'm probably just going to read some news. That time, cherish it. 1 week for you, 2 weeks for you. Just be confident about and don't feel guilty about that nothingness, because we are very good at feeling guilty when we don't have anything to do. So there are things that you would not be able not to do, which is domestic activities that are your responsibility in a way. So those things that are inevitable, I think. But when I talk about nothingness, is engaging into activities that are for form of replacement of work. No. All right. So you need to have that timeline, and you set up that specific timeline. If today I'm going to be 2 weeks, I'm doing nothing, boy, it means I'm doing nothing. Do not be guilt into reacting into doing something. Someone comes with, I say, guys, I'm on rest, nothingness. Don't be afraid. All right. Now, I'm aware that life can change and circumstances change, but if you can afford a sabbatical, do it. There shouldn't be a career break if you can't afford it, basically, right? Now, once you're at the end of your time of nothingness. Now, before you engage into activity, you need to reassess the need and if you can afford more time to rest. So a lot of time we don't realize how much career has taken a toll on us. And I believe that it's very important for you to just sit down and say to yourself, I've rested for 2 weeks. Does my mind feel like I still need a rest? Am I still struggling? Do I need to really talk to someone now about my mind? And do I need to, but just have those moments where you're saying to yourself, those 1 or 2 days when you say, I finished my resting, my nothingness time. What do I do now? Do I need another week? Or can I afford another week? Or can I just now go on and start doing things? Once you've made that decision that you can afford more time, or you want to have more time, take that more time of nothingness, and then now step out of it and start again. Now, when you get back from the time of nothingness, sometimes it could be 2 weeks, sometimes it could be 3 weeks. When you're out of that really resting time, where you've learned what it's like to sleep without being guilty about running for whatever, you drop the kid to school or whatever, and you come back and just want to sleep again, or you just want to watch a movie, you just want to walk, go and visit a friend, have coffee with a friend, just not thinking about anything, just want to be out there, not having to think about anything. When you come out of it now, go back to the drawing board and say, oh, time is up now. Lady, what's going on? Now, why I'm saying this is that time of nothingness is actually 1/3 of your sabbatical, because then the rest of your sabbatical now becomes about being on the drawing board, trying to rejuvenate yourself and figure out what direction you need to take. Some people are quite good. They already know what direction they want to take, so they don't need to extend the sabbatical. They can just use the whole sabbatical just for nothingness. But some people just need to go back to the drawing board. Now, I'll tell you about why I think drawing board is important in my case. Now, once you get back to the drawing board, you go back to the drawing board as a child. Become a child. Don't be afraid to be a child. Become like a child again. Think about children, the things that they ask us. You write down all the things you think you want. It can just be like, oh, I wish I could have ice cream every day. As stupid as that. So think about those childlike mind that you always wanted to be. Even if you were a big MD in a company, and everybody has an inner child in them. Just bring that inner child right down. Can be even your project. Think about your project as a child. Where do I start? What's the things that I need for this project that I want to do? Where do I do? Just write down all the things that you want, and mostly the things that you want to achieve. Write them down. As silly as it is, write down everything in a piece of paper. And then spend another few times. It can take 2 days or 3 days to look at your list and review it and think about it, and probably scrap the things that are not important and laugh about it. And look at your list before and figure out the scale of what is important in your list, what needs to be scraped up. And the more you think about your list, the more you look at your list, with the time you're going to realize which one is important to actually take action while you're on sabbatical. So there are things that you always wanted to do. Some people wanted to always go to the sea and throw stones. There are so many things we want to do that we are not afford the luxury to do because we are scared and we don't want to look like crazy people, right? So for me, I just always wanted to go to the cinema and sit there and watch all the movies. And sometimes I just wanted to go out there and look at the blue sky. And that's probably why in my video, you see a lot of blue sky talk, because I'm like, I did not see a lot of blue sky in Ireland since I arrived here. And I just want to look at the blue sky. I just want to pay attention to the grass. How many times I want to pay attention to the grass? I just want to go there and find all the little greenery that is out there. And then maybe visit some of my friends. It can be silly stuff like that, but write down all the childlike minded stuff that you always wanted to do and write them down. So on your list, based on the current climate we are on, and I can tell you that not everybody are living in an environment where they can take a break from work. So we know that in some places in the world today, people are going through fear for their life, and there's war, there's crisis and everything. I'm almost saying that in those environments, you don't really have time to take sabbatic. But if you have the luxury to reassess and rethink things, I think we almost have to be very determined not to be afraid to pause unless your life is in danger. So I say we won't be talking about sabbatical if you are in those kind of crisis environment. So we're talking about normal life where there's not a lot of danger. Now, I don't want to undermine the fact that things happen. So for example, in my time of sabbatical, I lost 2 people, right? So things happen that can be assessed. That's why it's so important to be intentional, because otherwise it's going to be disastrous. So then assess the things that are feasible and the things that are not feasible and take action, all right? What do I mean by take action? Take action can be now when you've decided on your list. I've always wanted to be, for example, a broadcaster. I didn't know I wanted to be, but during my time of sabbatical, I just realized it was evident that that's what I wanted to be. And what is it out there to do? How do I go about it? What do I need to learn? Now you're more confident about it because you have time to relax and you're not reactive, right? Now, let's talk about my disastrous journey. All right. So you've seen all the lists that I gave to you. This is what I learned at the end, at this current hour I talk to you. But boy, it's been a disaster. First disaster was I said to my coach that I need to travel. And even when I traveled, I actually did not rest. I was all over the place trying to take pictures and visit places. I was active. So number one, I didn't understand what I was trying to do. I didn't understand basically what it means to have rest. I didn't understand it. I was petrified. And then it didn't help the fact that one of my best friends passed away. So panic hack, I have to do something. Life has to happen. People were dying. Oh my God, it's scary. So what I was saying about understanding and being firm is because life will happen. Things will happen around you and you just need to hold your ground. And that's one of the mistakes that I did. And then I started engaging. After I did my travel, I came back and I started engaging into a lot of activities. I become an ambassador, start going to network, putting my hand up for a lot of freelance work, and then also starting my podcast and also a sign up for trainings that I didn't like, that I didn't finish. I only finished one of them eventually 6 months later. So you can see that it was pretty much a reactive behavior because I never had a time of rest to rethink about why I wanted to do what I'm doing. And then the funny thing about it is that my sabbatical took longer because when I now decided I wanted to go back to work, I was lost. I started applying for roles and I wasn't sure because there was no clear plan on even when I was going to start work and when was my sabbatical ending, right? So I had to go back now and sitting down and doing exactly what I'm asking you today to do. Right? So that's my experience on sabbatical. And I hope you enjoyed this conversation and I hope you learned something from it because this is true life, right? One of the key things that I will leave you that first I need to ask the question, is it good to take a career break? If it's necessary and if you understand why you need to take a career break, go ahead. Second thing, when and how long should you take a career break? Depending on your life situation. Everybody is different. And also, you need to make sure your mind is away from any guilt. Because there's something about being a corporate person and working for a long time is that we believe that if we don't work, we are lazy and nobody. We identify ourselves with our career. And a lot of time when we are on sabbatical, we spend most of our time explaining to people why we're on sabbatical because we still hold the guilt that we're not working, even though we know, we are confident that we are not lazy. All right. So that's something that you need to put at the back of your head. Now, on the other thing that I also felt that was key is financial and current climate is something that you need to be aware of. Do not engage into sabbatical without understanding the current climate of the world. Be almost sure that what you put in place to be your sustainable financial need, whether you're married or not, or have obligation or not, is something that you can afford to do. Do not go on sabbatical if you cannot afford to do so, right? And that's one of the things that I've learned. Now, to close this conversation, should you then go on sabbatical or should you not go? Every human being needs to have a moment of rest. So if you do not have the luxury to take a sabbatical, have a clean holiday sabbatical in your career. Meaning what? There's always going to be that one holiday in the year, at least a week, where you just take it and do nothing. Because let's face it, even us working, our holidays are never holidays. It's all about running around in the world and doing things and jumping around and coming back more tired than we have. So we have never really taken a break. So if you cannot know, I take a proper sabbatical career break, take a holiday, that will be as a moment of rest. And before you go back to work, have that one day to really write down all the childlike minded things that you hope you want to achieve or you want to do for yourself. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you really enjoyed this episode, please thumbs up, subscribe, and continue watching.